Welcome. First of all, welcome. This is Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, here to lead the conversation in important events and topics that are shaping today's society. Join the conversation and follow us wherever you get your audio podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for our video podcast and YouTube exclusive content. Rate, review, like, comment, share. Share with your friends, share with your family, hell, even share with your enemies. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about hustling, then I'm going to be talking about biohacking, and then I'm going to be talking about a story from back in the day dealing with me being humble. But that's enough of the intro. Let's get to the show. Before I get into hustle culture and hustling, I might have to do a short rant that might come off as angry. I'm going to try to not be angry, but this is going to be I'm telling y'all about yourselves. So a lot of people that voted for the current man that's in the president's office here in the United States are starting to have, let's just say, second thoughts about their vote because of things that are happening directly to them. Who are these people that I'm talking about? Well, you have Arab Americans who were adamant that they were not going to vote for Kamala Harris because of everything that was going on in Gaza. And here, the current president has said that basically he's going to move, or he wants to move the Palestinians out of Gaza, fix it up like a Riviera, and allow the world's people into Gaza. And then asked if the Palestinians can come back. He's like, why would they want to? So we're essentially talking about ethnic cleansing. That's what he's suggesting. Now, I haven't spoken about Gaza. I have mixed emotions about everything that's going on. I think anybody that has a clear black and white saying this is what it is doesn't really understand the history that is going on in that area. And I don't have enough information. Or I have enough information. I don't feel like it's my place to talk about what's going on over there, except for the fact that all the lives that are being lost, Israeli or Palestinian, is absolutely ridiculous. What happened on October 7th? Absolutely ridiculous. What's continued to happen afterwards? Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. That's kind of where my stance is, because it would be like me talking about the Holocaust or a white person talking about slavery. I can't personally identify with what's going on, not personally. So I can't really speak to it with intellectual confidence. Let's put it that way. I can't speak to it with intellectual confidence. A lot of people out there are speaking about this particular subject not intelligently and without all of the information. And so I'm not going to be there, and I'm not going to use this platform to say that. But what I will say is pushing a group of people out of their home, essentially doing large scale gentrification. That's what it is. He is saying that he is going to take what has been demolished, right, because of all the bombing. He's going to take all those people out, rebuild it, but not let those people back in. That's gentrification. That's what's happening right down the road in Washington, D.C. It's happening all over the country where there's a depressed area. People think that there's value because it's depressed and they can get the land cheap. They buy the land cheap, they fix it up, and all those people that were living there are no longer able to live there, either because they can't afford it or not allowed back in. So Arab Americans who were saying, hey, don't vote for Kamala Harris. Yeah. This is way worse. And now you're starting to be like, damn, maybe I shouldn't have voted for him. Also, white women. Okay. So what do I mean by that? See, white women that voted for Donald Trump on the premise of everything was going to be fair again and we're going to get rid of affirmative action and DEI. A lot of people get these programs confused with race. Me and my sister have talked about it till we're blue in the face race is a part of it, but it's also religion, gender, sexuality, all these type of things, right? You're not allowed to discriminate. That's what these programs were for. The main beneficiaries of these programs, whether they wanted to admit it to themselves or not, have been white women. Statistically, it's been white women. So for all those people out there that are thinking affirmative action and DEI is just overwhelmingly help Black people, no, it's overwhelmingly help white women. And now they're getting rid of all of these programs, almost so much so that they're attacking Costco, right? There have been 15 to 17 Republican states that are attacking Costco, saying get rid of your DEI programs because the President Trump has signed executive orders to get rid of all DEI programs. And Costco is like, no, I'm not going to do it. But for those companies and those government agencies that are getting rid of the DEI programs, white women are realizing, oh, wait a minute. I thought it was just making sure that it, like those people that were not my race were going to be affected. I didn't know it was going to affect me. It brings me back to a story of me in college. It was a government class or a social services class. I can't remember what the class was. I think it was a government class. And we were talking about affirmative action and we were in the discussion part. So in college, for those people who didn't go to college, and for those people it's been so long that you forgot how college was, you had a lecture. Most of the time it was like twice a week. And then you had a discussion. The discussion is where the TA would go over basically the stuff and the lectures. And you could literally discuss the topics so that you could gain a better grasp and understanding of those topics. Okay. And this young white woman, my age, right? Because we're all same age, definitely from the Midwest. Okay. We were talking about affirmative action, and she was totally against affirmative action. And as the class is talking about it, I'm one of the only Black students in the class. So of course, everybody turns to me. And not to toot my own horn, but I have always had a way of speaking to people just like this. This is just my taking what I did in college and putting it on, audio and video and recording it. Sometimes people think that what I have to say is kind of insightful because I have a certain perspective of looking at things. And as my father and my mother taught me to look at all points of view and do my research diligently so I could talk about it with intelligence. So they asked me, what do I think? And I turned to her and I said, affirmative action has helped you. She said, how's it helped me? I'm not Black. And it's the same argument I've been having, or the same discussion I've been having with people for literally 25 years. And I said, well, where did you get the idea that it's only Black people? Well, that's what they say on the news, that affirmative action is for Black people. I was like, no, affirmative action is for people to not be discriminated against based on their color, their race, their gender, their sexuality, and their religion. I said to her, ma'am, 20, 30 years ago, you would not have been allowed on this campus. If you were allowed on this campus, the only things that you would have been able to study would have been to become a teacher or a nurse. These things, these laws, affirmative action and civil rights, have helped you. Well, that's not what I was told. Well, this is the reason why we're in college right now, to learn this. This is the literal definition of affirmative action. Well, that's not how it's put in place. It's like, that's exactly how it's put in place because you're here now. You and I are here now. And white women have just seemed to, they just don't get it, that they feel they're white, so they're privileged. And make no mistake about it, because you're white, you have a privilege, absolutely, but you're still a female. So you're part of a marginalized group. And you voted against your best interest. It wasn't it. You had a bunch of old white men taking away your reproductive rights, and maybe you agreed with it, maybe you didn't agree with it. But what should have given you pause is the fact that you have older white men determining what you can do with your body. You think that it was going to stop there? You think if you just gave them an inch that they weren't going to take a mile? No, that wasn't the case. And for all those people who voted for the president, the current president, because they were talking about the economy, which, by the way, I've already gone over this. The economy is just fine. Inflation is the problem, and those two things can be correlated sometimes, but they're not direct parallels. Okay. Inflation. Yeah, I've gone over it. Gatorade. Look, now it's Gatorade is like $2.25. Okay. I'm pissed. I had to buy a full 6 pack of the smaller size and have to stretch it out because I refuse, after paying 5 for 5, 5 for 4, and then 5 for 3. I refuse to pay $2.25 to 50 cents for a thing of Gatorade. I know y'all say, well, that's what it costs at 7-Eleven. I don't go to 7-Eleven for that very reason. But for those people that voted for the president that's currently in office, thinking that he was going to fix the economy in their eyes, right? Make the cost of eggs go down, make the cost of living go down. Wrong, wrong. Nothing has changed. Nothing, and everything that he's implementing is not going to change anything. Did you see the tax cuts for the wealthy? The tax plan that came out with? Yes, tax cuts for the wealthy, and they're raising taxes on some of the working class. You're going to be paying more. The cost of eggs are going to go down, and some of the goods that we want aren't going to go down because of tariffs. Tariffs are a tax that we as Americans pay. Yeah, no, y'all were wrong. And here's the crazy thing. This is the reason why I'm getting on my soapbox, doing this little bit of a rant that's kind of anger, but not really anger. It's really a pompous kind of my nose in the air, like I told you so, because we told you so. All those people that said, well, President Trump doesn't know anything about Project 2025. He is literally implementing step by step everything that was Project 2025. And listen to the echo chamber of the people that are speaking for the president. You have the press secretary talking about those people who died in the plane and air helicopter collision here in Washington, D.C., that nobody is looking at what color the pilot is. Once again, DEI has race is one aspect of DEI, but that's the one thing that this administration wants to keep focusing on. Why do they want you to keep focusing on that? Because if they could get you to focus on that, then they can't get you to focus on the fact that they got their hand in your pocket. Lyndon B. Johnson, my favorite president, came up with a great explanation of why white people vote against their best interests. LBJ was once asked why poor and middle class Republicans vote against their own interests. And this was his response. If you can convince the lowest white man or a white person, he or she is better than the best colored man or woman, colored being black. That's what they said back in the day, colored. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't know you're picking his pocket. He'll give him something to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. This has been the play. This is 1960s. 1960s. This was over 60 years ago. They're using the same playbook. They are saying that, hey, white people out there over in middle America who is struggling, there are parts of this country that don't have like real internet. They still got dial up or DSL. Some of you young Gen Z people don't even know what DSL is. That's how old it is, right? There are some really underdeveloped areas in the middle part and in the south of this country where there are poor white folks struggling, and not broke poor, poor, that are voting against their best interest because you have rich white people saying, well, at least you're better than those black people. At least you're better than those migrants. They're coming to take your jobs. They're not taking your jobs because you ain't doing those jobs. They can convince you based off of race. That's what this whole attack on DEI and affirmative action is. Hey, focus over here on the fact that we're getting rid of all these programs that's going to hurt minorities, i.e. black people and brown people, transgender people. You have veterans that are going to be affected, right? Veterans, no matter who you are, you're going to be affected by some of the stuff that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing to try and cut stuff. Older people, your Social Security, your Medicare, Medicaid. They are trying to eliminate these things, these social programs that you depend on, all because you wanted Black people to not have, or you wanted brown people to not be here. You voted against your best interests, and now you're struggling. Now you dealing with it. And this rant was not supposed to be this long. I was just supposed to be short, but now I'm heated because I told you so. So don't come crying to me now. Don't come crying and complaining, talking about, what the hell is going on. We told you what was going to go on. You knew what was going to happen. We knew what was going to happen. We tried to tell you. We tried to warn you. You know the difference between a warning and a threat? A threat is implied. A warning is telling you this is what's going to happen. We gave you a warning. He gets elected. This is what's going to happen. And this is what's going to happen. We're not even a full month. No, I guess we are into a full month. It's only been 1 month him being in office. It's only the beginning. We got a long way to go. We got a long fight ahead. And now maybe you will open your eyes to see the shaky con artist that he was. And if you're saying to yourself, well, he is still fighting for me, look in the mirror. What is it truly that you want? What is it truly that you're fighting for? Because then that'll tell you about yourself. Okay, that's enough of my rant. I want to get into something that's near and dear to my heart. And this subject is, I think, an important subject for us as Americans. So often I have friends, I haven't gone yet because I still haven't gotten my passport renewed. At this point, I probably got to get a whole new passport. But some of my friends that have gone over to European countries talk to Europeans and they laugh at us. They laugh at us about how hard we work here. And it's all about this hustle culture. So I wanted to dig a little deeper into what exactly is hustle culture and what does it encompass, and why is it that we are in Americans kind of praise this ideology of hustling. Okay. And I'm not talking about going on the street corner hustling. I'm talking about like hustling, like really working hard. Okay. So hustle culture is a modern lifestyle emphasizing overwork and self-sacrifice, not just your mental, but your physical health to achieve goals. Now, think about that. We are out here working ourselves to death to achieve goals. What are the goals? Most of the time, it's monetary, right? Most of the time, it's monetary. I want the big house, the nice car. I want the nice clothes, a little bit of jewelry, or I want the nice yard with a swimming pool. It's something. It's materialistic stuff. It's basically what it is, right? What are the historical roots of this hustle culture and this nature? So this traces all the way back to the 16th century and is basically based on a Protestant work ethic, which means that hard work equals moral virtue. What does that mean? So this was popularized by Max Weber, basically saying that grinding is pleasing God. Hustling and working hard, you are pleasing God, and thus productivity is tied to self-worth, meaning that you work hard because God wants you to work hard. That's where this comes from. Now think about it. Think about it. Does God want us to work hard or enjoy the gift of life that we've been given? Does working hard make us enjoy life? I don't know, but I'm gonna dig deeper into this. So, also, this hustle culture has been taken over by capitalist ideals. So, we here in the United States live in a capitalist society. That's what we are, right? We're a capitalist society. It's all about making money, getting money. How do you make money, get money? You work hard. Remember that old saying, if you work hard enough, you'll make the money. Generations, boomers were seeing it. Gen X has definitely started seeing, millennials know full well what it is. And Gen Z is like, y'all been lying. That this is not true. Just because you work hard doesn't mean that you're going to be successful in life. You need some breaks. right? You need to catch some breaks to be able to be successful. This doesn't mean that you don't put in effort, but this idea of hustle culture, which is based in pleasing God, right? That's what it stems from Protestants in the 16th century. Pleasing God means working hard. Okay. So, signs that you are in this hustle culture, excessive working hours. Any of y'all out there working 70 plus hours a week? 70 plus hours a week. And here's the crazy thing. There have been some studies that clearly show that there is no difference between working 70 hours a week and 56 hours a week. You get the same type of productivity. And you're thinking to yourself, but Bruce, that doesn't make any sense. Those are 14 more hours that I am working. How is it the same productivity? I'll tell you why, because you're sacrificing leisure, relaxation, right? Sleep and social bonds, all for working hard. So let me ask you a question. Do you have the same energy expenditure when you're working out from the beginning of the workout towards the end of the workout? Meaning that the longer that you work out, the longer that you do something, you have less energy, correct? So, in that respect, it's pretty easy to see how 70 to 56 hours are comparable because you're exhausted those extra 14 hours. How much work are you really getting done? How much productivity are you really getting done in the extra 14 hours? And studies have shown none. None. You're not getting anything done. You have unrealistic expectations and guilt over downtime. Let me ask you guys something. How many times have you been sitting in the house or you were going out or whatever, and you start to feel guilt and you say to yourself, I should be doing something right now. I know it's happened to everybody listening and watching. We've all done it. Where we come to this conclusion, like, I should be doing something right now. It can even cause anxiety. It happens to me all the time. I have set days. Everybody know my Sunday fun day is supposed to be my day of relaxation, right? That's my day where I've given myself, where I don't do nothing. Now I'm working and I'm falling the victim to this hustle culture. And I'll get to how it affects you in a minute. But Sunday was my day to just sit back, relax, and recharge. And it was a day that I gave to myself. I don't even work out on Sundays. I work out Monday through Saturday. Sundays, I don't work out. I might go for a walk, but going for a walk is like a leisure. It helps me clear my head. It's relaxing. It's therapeutic, but I don't do any work. And the reason why is because I needed to recenter myself. But don't you know, there are sometimes, even though that I've dedicated a specific day to chilling and leisure, that I still feel guilty, feeling like I need to be doing something because it's been ingrained in us to hustle. Why? Because if you work hard, you can accomplish and achieve all your dreams. It's a myth. It's not true. Just because you work hard doesn't mean that you're going to accomplish your dreams. That's not what's going to happen. But what are the negative impacts, okay, to this hustle culture? Because I haven't really gotten to that. Well, sort of, really, but it affects you a lot more than what you realize, right? There's burnout, not just emotional, but physical exhaustion from chronic stress because you're constantly working. Look, grinding is not fun. People may get a high from it, right? But it's physically and emotionally and mentally exhausting to constantly be working. That causes stress of your mind and your body, okay? Which leads to mental health issues. This grind, this hustle culture can lead to depression, anxiety, and get this, imposter syndrome, because your self-worth is tied to your productivity. So when you're in this hustle culture and you're working those 70 hours a week, if you don't do well on that project, right? If you don't do well on that assignment, you don't feel good about yourself. So you'll work harder to accomplish it because you feel like if you don't work, if you don't put in the 70 hours, the end product won't be as good. But I just told you, studies have shown you can work 70 hours or you can work 56 hours. It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same. So this hustle culture can lead to not just mental health issues like depression and anxiety and imposter syndrome, but once again, physical. You work at 70 hours a week. How much time do you actually have to sleep? Okay. How much time do you actually have to eat properly? Okay. If you don't sleep and eat properly, what's going to happen? Your immunity is going to be weakened. You're going to have heart issues. You're going to have health issues. So let me ask some people out there that's listening. I know I got some hustlers that are listening to this. Do you often find yourself a little under the weather, not feeling well? It's because you're working too much. You're not giving your body a chance to recuperate. You're not eating well. This is what I said, where I'm going to bring it back to me, where I said earlier how I'm being affected right now because of the things that I'm doing. I run the day-to-day operations of a company. Okay. I have this podcast. Also have side things that I do. There is no day off for me. I have friends. I have a friend, and she's listening or watching right now, that lives right down the road, 2 miles away from me. Now, that 2 miles takes 10 to 15 minutes based on where I live because of all the stoplights, but she lives 2.5 miles down the road from me. I have not had the time to go visit her because I'm working and doing so much. I got another friend who lives about 45 minutes away from me. I need to go see her and her kids. I can't find the time to take that much time out of my day to go because I've got so much stuff going on. On top of that, this chip addiction that I have, that I've been saying that I can't shake, it's because I'm working so much. I'm not doing the stuff like preparing my meals and doing meal prep like I normally would. I got a whole thing of cabbage in the fridge right now that I've been trying to cook for the last 3 days. It takes me 30 minutes max to cook that cabbage because you got to do it right. You got to cut the bacon up. You got to make that bacon sizzle in the pan. And then you cut the cabbage up, right? And then you add a little bit of cabbage and add the seasonings. Then you add a little bit more cabbage and then add the seasonings. And you got to stir it up so it mixes with the bacon grease and the bacon. That's how I make my cabbage. It's delicious, by the way. It's delicious. 30 minutes, right? Haven't found time to do it in the last 3 days. Because another thing about hustle culture is when you do actually have some downtime, you're so freaking tired that you can't bring yourself to do the day-to-day activities that you need to have a successful personal life. So this hustle culture can affect you both mentally and physically. The CDC in 2018 said overworking was the number 2 cause of work-related illnesses. Some of y'all got nasty coworkers. I know a friend of mine said her coworker went to the bathroom and took the apple into the bathroom with her and put the apple on the sink as she used the bathroom. Now, to me, that person needs to be burned at the stake because that is absolutely gross. So working with people like that, you would naturally think, oh, there's germs passing around, people are nasty. And that very well could be the case, right? But the second reason why people are getting sick at work is because they're overworking themselves. So one of the cool things that happened during the pandemic is that people got a chance to slow down. They got out of that daily grind, especially here in the DC area, because you didn't have to get up, shower if you showered in the morning, get dressed, jump in your car in DC, drive 30 minutes or hop on a bus to hop on a metro to walk. Like the commute in this area is just absolutely absurd, right? People would have to be at work at 8. They have to get up at sometimes 5:30 in the morning to make it to 8. Think about that 2.5 hours that you're spent just getting to and from work. It could be 4 to 5 hours a day just to commute. So what the pandemic did was made everybody take a step back and be like, well, wait a minute. I have at the minimum an extra hour, sometimes multiple hours a day that I'm not commuting to work. Let me, I don't know, go to the gym and work out. People got healthy. Some people got really healthy. Let me, I don't know. I've always wanted to cook a little bit more, but I never had the time. I'm in the house now. Let me like prepare some meals, losing weight, eating healthier, right? Blood pressure coming down. Everything is feeling good about you. Cholesterol is being lowered. You taking care of yourself. So the pandemic slowed us down. And one of the things that the pandemic also did is had people create boundaries between work and personal time, you know, learning how to say no. How often are you out there in the workforce and your boss puts responsibilities on you that were not your responsibility when you got hired? I got a friend. He's a manager, and his boss is always coming to him adding new stuff to his title, which wasn't what he got hired for. He's afraid of losing his job, so he takes it on. I tell him all the time, hey man, you're like one of the best in your field. You can get a new job. You don't have to do these extra responsibilities because they weren't the responsibilities that you were hired for, and they're not compensating you more for them. So if they're going to give you more responsibilities, cool. What's the compensation? If they're not trying to have that, forget it. I got another friend of mine, and she is a partner in an accounting firm, and she is furious at Gen Z because she says that they go on vacation and they don't check their emails or do any work. And I said, yeah, they're on vacation. And she said, well, no, their responsibility is to be. And I said, nope, nope, that's not their responsibility. You want to place that on them because that's the way you work, and you work yourself to death and to a frenzy. They're saying, my job is my job. This is what I get paid for on this time. Y'all are not getting any more of my time. It's like this PTO stuff. I'm not requesting PTO. I'm letting you know I'm about to go on vacation. Y'all gonna have to figure this out because this is part of my job that I'm allowed to have this. I'm going to use it. So it's about setting boundaries. And this new post pandemic attitude, I think, is healthier. It's extremely healthier. And it's being spread off, spread across all of the workforce. I know the current administration is coming in. I know a lot of people that live in this area are federal employees. Surprisingly, guess what? Not everybody that lives in this area, or not all federal employees live in this area. There are federal employees all across the United States. So when you think draining the swamp and the swamp is Washington, no, no. Federal employees are in every single state of this union. Okay. So let's, God, do a little bit of research, learn some facts. Okay. But like I said, Gen Z has been and had this figured out that we're going to work. Look, I'm going to put in the work that y'all are compensating me for. I'm going to do the best I can. But my time is my time. There's work time and there's personal time. And I'm not doing anything else outside of what I got hired for. And if you don't like it, I'll quit. I'll find another job. And that's kind of the way that people should be, thinking about it. There was a survey by Prudential in 2022 that said 70% of the US workers prioritize personal life over jobs. And this has been happening. These shifts have been happening ever since the pandemic. And that 20% are willing to even take a pay cut for a better balance. You think about it. If you got a job where you got to commute to work and you got a job where you can work remote, the salary for the remote job is less than the salary for the job where you had to commute to work. And a lot of people look at that bottom line number, but they don't look at the money that they're spending to commute. And when I say commute, it's not just to travel. Think about something else that you do when you're commuting to work. Typically, you're buying lunch every day. Like, are you going to pack your lunch? You're buying lunch. People don't even factor that into the process of commuting to work. So, yeah, people are saying, look, I would rather remote work, work from home, because that means I can go to the gym, I can prepare my own meals, I can have a healthier lifestyle, and I'm not as stressed out. And so, look, another bunch of new trends that are happening post pandemic that are combating this rise and grind mentality are shorter work hours, more breaks, and flexible routines. And all this stuff boosts productivity. Look, the people that are trying to make you come back home, and don't get me wrong, there are absolutely some people out there that remote work that took advantage for it. But guess what? You have a job, you have to produce. If you do not produce, you can be terminated. You can be terminated, but companies out there weren't falling and dropping because of low productivity from remote workers. That wasn't a thing. That's something that they lied to you about, right? Kind of like when they say that DEI and affirmative action is only about race. Yeah, they give you part of the story, but not the full story. And the full story is yes, there's always going to be people who take advantage of certain situations. That's just who we are in human nature, right? That we will take advantage. I'm king of shortcuts. That's what my dad used to always say. He's like, Bruce, if there's a shortcut, you're going to find it. And sometimes to my detriment, right? Like you could take a shortcut and it could be detrimental. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Most people are going to try to find a way to shortcut the system. That doesn't mean everybody's going to do it. That doesn't even mean the majority of the people are going to do it. So you can't take a few people and place it upon an entire group. And that's what they're trying to do. What I'm trying to do is make you take a step back and examine what it is that is most important to you in your life. Is it your job or is it your life? Because whether you realize it or not, we're literally working ourselves to death. They're trying to push back the retirement age, or they pushed back the retirement age. Think about that. We spend the majority of our life working. Then finally, when we get a chance to retire, we don't have that much life left. If you're lucky, you do. But you spend way more time working than you actually do enjoying after the fact. And is that what God wants us to do? Because remember, this work culture all stems back from that Protestant way of life of hard work equals virtue and morality and a strong relationship with God. Think, I mean, I know God, but I don't know him personally. You know what I'm saying? We had a few conversations, but we don't, we normally talk about me. We don't really talk about a lot of about him because man, it's typically a one-way conversation, and is I don't hear voices or anything. I get this feeling. That's just me. So I don't know exactly what he's thinking. I can only infer through the messengers that he sent throughout time to spread his messages. And I'm going to assume through those messages and those gospels that the purpose of our lives is not to work ourselves to death. It's actually try to be good people and try to make a better way for other people. That's what I'm going to think that it is, not this hustle culture. So for all those people out there that are talking about rise and grind, stop it. Stop it. I'm not saying don't work hard, but don't overwork. That's what hustle culture is. It's overworking yourself because all you're doing for materialistic stuff is working yourself to absolute death. All right, this is going to be kind of a long segment because the first segment was overrun basically because of my rant. And I'm going to talk about biohacking. I'm going to explain what biohacking is. And then I'm going to tell a short story about when I was humbled. But still piggybacking off of work culture, not woke culture, work culture and hustle culture, and how it can affect us mentally and physically. A lot of people are doing this thing called biohacking. And I'm going to explain it in a minute. And me being a fitness professional, I've been in fitness for over 20 years. I've worked with thousands and tens of thousands of people. Okay. I would say that I am really, really good at what I do. And that's not me, you know, being sarcastic or patting myself on the back. I've got a proven track record of success. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this fitness industry. And a lot of people from the beginning of time have always tried to shortcut living a healthy lifestyle. And there is no real shortcut to living a healthy lifestyle. Not to say that all biohacking is a shortcut, because some of it is actually good, but some of it is actually to the detriment to your overall well being. But first, I got to explain to you guys what biohacking is. So, biohacking is a DIY human enhancement. Think about what I just said. DIY human enhancement. A self-driven approach to optimizing health, performance, and longevity through biological and lifestyle tweaks. Okay. So, on a macro level, we all do some form of biohacking. We all do some form of DIY human enhancement. It's do it yourself, right? Like we all do it. And human enhancement, DIY human enhancement could be a variety of different things. Going back to the hustle culture and those people that work from home, it could just be I'm not doing the fast food or getting Uber Eats every night for dinner. I'm going to prepare my own food. Right? That's a DIY human enhancement. That's a good one. That and you're gonna save money doing that too, by the way. We spend a lot of Uber Eats is ridiculous. Okay, the extra fees, don't get me wrong. I'm Uber Eats king. I once got an Uber credit card specifically for the fact that I was taking Ubers everywhere and ordering Uber Eats, and I felt like I needed to have some type of bonuses or points because of it. So there are good forms of biohacking. So what is the DIY biology? This is citizen-led experiments. Yeah, I'm gonna say that one more time. DIY biology, a form of biohacking, is a citizen-led experiments. Basically like at-home gene editing and microbiome testing. Okay, let me just say you should not be doing any at-home gene editing. The fact of the matter is, you should not be doing any at-home. Look. A few years ago, this woman in Miami got busted because she was doing the butt injections so the girls can get big butts. She was using something like cement. One person died. A lot of people got sick. Look, don't do none of that stuff at home, okay? I can't stress it enough. Gene editing at home. So one form of biohacking, a DIY human enhancement, might be cooking your own meals instead of eating out to eat. Another one, at home gene editing. Don't do that. Nutrigenics. Okay, these are personalized diets based on DNA analysts. I have more than a few people that have actually done this. Look, I actually believe in this. I believe if you have stomach issues or if you have digestive issues, doing these type of analysis is really good because it can point out foods and stuff that you're allergic to that you have no idea that you're allergic to it, right? People had no idea that they had celiac disease until we started doing these gluten-free type things. Now everybody's claiming they got it and everybody doesn't have it. Like it's not a spectrum, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like autism or neurodivergence. Either you are or you aren't. Like I'm allergic to avocados. And people always ask me, are you really allergic to avocados? Yes. If I eat an avocado, my throat starts to close up. I'm allergic to it. My brother is allergic to, I believe, strawberries. Like his face like blows. There are certain foods that your body allergic to, and allergic reactions are different. There's varying degrees of allergic reactions. So this type of DNA analyst on your nutrition to see what foods work for you and what foods don't work for you. This is another good example of biohacking. And if you are one of those people out there that has I had I dated a woman, and she's probably listening to this or watching this, and she went through this, and she basically had a very restrictive diet, and I know how bad it was because when she decided to go against that diet, it was some problems. It was some real problems. And so, yeah, no, I believe it also fosters, your energy levels, and you might not be getting enough iron, you might not be getting enough sugar, you might not be getting enough salt. Like, these things are good to find out. You might just feel like you're tired all the time, and it's just because you're malnourished. I know athletes, men and women, that go to college and grow. They get bigger, and it's not because their parents weren't feeding them. It's just that you get a more balanced diet when you're when you're in college, whether you believe it or not. Like, you do. I remember going to the dining hall, and it's like you can only eat so much pizza and chicken sandwiches and hamburgers. Eventually, you're like, you know what? Let me get this roasted chicken and some vegetables because I need to detox my body. Because good God, this junk. And then you feel a little bit better. So, yeah, some people grow because they're malnourished. You could be getting you could be malnourishing yourself and not even realizing it. So these DNA analysts for personalized diets are actually a good thing. You can get DNA based meal plans. There are companies out there that if you have a certain diet restrictions, that they will create meal plans for you and make ready-made meals for you. You could pop it in the microwave, go. Think about how much time you've eliminated in your life to enjoy your life just by taking the time to take care of your life. I don't know. That kind of makes sense to me. What about you? There's also this thing called grinders in biohacking. Now, these are tech augmented bodies, basically implants for performance tracking. I don't look. So you have smartwatches that can clock to the to a decent degree how much calories that you're burning during a workout, and how much energy expenditure that you have. Look, if you want to invest in those type of things, if you got the money for it because you want to have optimal performance, okay, cool. For the layman, for the every average person out there, you don't need this stuff. I mean, having a smartwatch is fine, but all this other like investments for tech to improve your health. I had a friend of mine call me up, and it was like, hey, there's this equipment that y'all seen it where it just shakes you and it's supposed to help you lose weight. No, that's not how that works. It's a simple equation to lose weight. And I'll give it to you for free. It's a simple equation. Take your daily caloric intake, or what it should be, because a lot of people do not eat enough. You may think, if I eat more, I gain weight. Sometimes you gain weight by eating less. I'm not going to get into the specifics of that, but just know that that is true. Sometimes when you think that you're dieting and you're eating lower calories, that you're actually making yourself fatter. Okay. So, first, you need to find out what it is that you need to eat to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Then all you do is subtract 500 calories from that. And you may be thinking 500 calories, that's a lot. No, it's not a lot when you should be consuming 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day, right? That's only knocking it down to 2,000 to 1,500 calories a day. But it's after you've already built up your body to get used to eating the 200, the 2,000 or 2,500 calories a day. Then all you do is subtract 500 calories a day. So what's 5 times 7? That's 3,500 calories. 3,500 calories is 1 pound. So if you just do that, but hold on, don't start subtracting 500 calories from what you're already doing. Let me reiterate. You want to find out what your daily caloric intake is supposed to be. Do that for a few weeks to get your body used to it, and then start cutting your calories to only 500 a day. Don't start cutting it to 1,000 a day, trying to get to 7,000 calories, thinking that's going to equal 2 pounds. It goes back to the original statement that I made. If you don't eat enough, you will actually get fatter. not lose weight. It might say that you lost weight on the scale, but you're just going to be a smaller version of your chubby self. Okay. So, and what's my personal trainer? What's the guy that's on Instagram? I always be calling people big backs. You still going to be big back. Your big back just going to be slightly smaller. That's all it takes. And then if you work out on top of that, you can burn more calories the right way to have a healthy lifestyle. So these machines and everything, if you're using it to supplement something that you're already doing, by all means, okay, fine, do it. But don't think that that's going to be an absolute substitute for actually literally eating properly and working out. And oh, by the way, nutrition, 70% of it. That's right, 70% of it. So what are some other popular biohacks? You have nootropics. These are your smart drugs like caffeine, creatine, and sometimes prescription medications like Ritalin. Look, all this stuff you should talk to your doctor first. People are always asking me about pre-workout stuff. Protein powders are fine, depending on what type of protein powders they are. But then they're always asking me about creatine and what type of amino acids they should get. For some people, this is going to be over their head. Just speak to your doctor and then speak to a fitness professional. A fitness professional can help you break down what it is that you actually need for your body. Okay. You got your wearables like your smart watches and things like that in that nature. Then you have different type of nutritional type of programs. And one that I use is intermittent fasting. And that's just time restricted eating for metabolic health. And I only give myself 8 hours a day to eat. Now I still eat 3 meals a day. In that 8 hours, I eat from 1:30 to 9:30 every day. It took a little while to get used to, but it just regulates my metabolism. I still get the calories I'm supposed to be getting in. It helps me with my sleep because I'm not going to bed with a full stomach because I don't go to bed at 9:30. I'm typically in the bed at like 11:30. I could push it earlier if I want to, but I try to not do too much time before going to sleep and eating. So intermittent fasting worked for me. That doesn't mean that it works for everybody. It's a way for me to make sure that I don't really get any bigger. I get big to a certain point and then pretty much stop. And I'm getting ready to get in my cutting phase, but I'm on that hustle grind right now, which means I'm not eating well. That was back in the previous segment. All this stuff is important to better your life. So intermittent fasting is good. Some people use cold water therapy, ice baths for recovery and endurance. I've heard this is really good for your body, and it is, right? But you don't have to do it. But these are just some of the things that people use, and like none of the stuff you have to do. These are just some ideas. But what I will say, going back to the Neil topics, is before you put anything in your body, consult a doctor or a fitness professional. Don't pay attention to these TikTok fads. Don't pay attention to Instagram influencers. Go to your local gym, hire a personal trainer, talk to a nutritionist. Even if you just do a few sessions to gain some knowledge about you personally, because everybody is different, that can help you better yourself. Some of the risk and ethical pitfalls of biohacking: safety issues, lack of regulation and amateur experiments like the gene editing that I talked about earlier, and then taking unproven supplements. And I'll be one to say that back in the day, I used to take unproven supplements that like I don't know what the long-term effects of some of that stuff are. Like I remember when a hydroxycut came out. Like those fat burners, I used to take those fat burners. I used to. They did not work at all. You have people out there that are doing Ozempic. Look, let me explain something to you. If y'all want all the side effects from Ozempic, have at it. It won't be me. The fact that you just can't go anywhere because you're scared that you might poop on yourself, that alone tells me that I don't need to be using it. And also, when you use Ozempic, it's not like you get toned. You get saggy skin, you look older. It's gross. Yeah, you'll be smaller, but you look older and gross. I'd rather be big and fine than look older and gross. That's just my personal opinion. Medical consultation is important, right? You got to seek professional guidance before you do any of these things. And you got to also understand that the US doesn't regulate this stuff like they do overseas. Prime example, look at, I think it's Quaker oat instant oatmeal, like the berries kind. Look at the ingredients for the US compared to Europe. They're different ingredients. We allow way more nasty stuff in our food to process it here than we do overseas. Why do you think that we the fattest country in the world? Why do you think that we are the fattest country in the world? We're killing ourselves with some of the stuff that we are eating. Now, I don't believe in a lot of what RFK is Jr. is talking about. The majority I don't. But I do rock with them with when he says that we have a lot of processed poisonous stuff in our foods that we only allow here and not other places. And that's leading to us being fat, being unhealthy, and getting sick. So just be careful. Do some research, real research, not TikTok research. Do some real research. Speak to some fitness professionals before you start this biohacking and get yourself right on a real wellness program. I decided to talk about this because it's February now. So all those people that had those New Year's resolutions, yeah, if you stopped, time to start back up again because it's not about, it shouldn't be a resolution. It should be something that you practice every day of your life. Because what's the purpose of being here if you're not going to try to be here for as long as you can? And if you have people that are dependent on you, like if you have kids or loved ones, you want to do these things. You want to eat better. I'm not going to say eat right, eat better and get more exercise. And so some of this stuff is good, some of this stuff is not good, but talk to a fitness professional, talk to a doctor, find out what's right for you first. All right, I'm gonna end today's show with this story. And this is a story that when I humbled myself. I don't know if I told this story before. Like I said, we've done 200 episodes. This is the 201st episode of Unsolicited Perspectives. We've done probably 100 episodes of After Hours Uncensored and Talking Straight Ish. And we do these YouTube exclusive. And I'm getting older. I don't remember what story I repeat and what I don't repeat. So this story might be a repeat, or you may have never heard it before. If you never heard it before, okay. And if it's a repeat, it's still kind of funny. All right. So a lot of people out there know that I like Jordans. And often as adults, we give ourselves stuff that we didn't have as kids. And I only had one pair of Jordans ever growing up. It's not really where my parents got me all the video games that I ever wanted, but you can't get Jordans as well. This is one or the other, and I chose video games. So I only had one pair of Jordans. So as I became an adult, I bought Jordans. And at a certain time, before buying online was really, really a thing, you would have to kind of like camp out for the new releases of the retro Jordans. I don't just wear any Jordans. I wear the retro Jordans and only series 1 through 13 and not really 10. Okay. Everything, and not really 2 or 3 either. Well, no, that's not true. I got a couple of threes in there. But anyway, I got a lot of Jordans. It was just happening. It was like 2016, 2017. And the Varsity Blues were being re-released. Why was that important to me? It was the very shoe that I got back in 1991 that was being re-released. So the only pair of shoes that I ever got, the only pair of Jordans that I ever got were being re-released, and I wanted to get them as an adult. Okay, I had to get them as an adult. So that morning I wake up, I don't know, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I drive over I've got a choice of about 3 or 4 different malls that are within 10 to 15 minutes from my place. I chose the mall that would be most likely to not have a lot of people there. And that mall has 2 or 3 different shoe stores. So I figured that, and I wear a size 13. Really, it's a 12 and a half, but I was willing to take a 13. So I knew that I more than likely, if I got up early enough, I was going to be able to get the shoes because there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to get these shoes. So I arrive at the mall. It's still dark outside. There's already a line, but the line is not too long. I figure with 3 stores, and only about 100 people ahead of me, and not all of these people look like they're as tall or as big as me, I still shouldn't have a problem getting the shoes. As I'm waiting in line, there's this young little couple that's right in front of me, high school students, high school sweethearts, and they are talking about how they're going to get the matching sixes and they're going to be going out together and be dressed to the nines and everything like that together. And I thought it was cute. Young puppy love, going to get matching shoes. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So finally comes to the time where the mall is going to open. So they open up the mall doors. Everybody goes charging. It was single file line before they open up those doors, but everybody goes running. Now, I did not scout the mall before deciding to choose that mall, which meant I didn't really know where the stores were. I know that was dumb on my part, but I was so focused. My anxiety was so focused on getting the shoes. I didn't get to the details. This is one of the times that I could say that I wasn't meticulous. So there's this mad charge through the doors. Everybody is running, and I'm following the smallest group because, once again, three stores, the smallest group, more than likely, I will be able to get the shoes that I want. And it just so happens that that couple is right there in front of me. So I know they're getting the shoes, so I'm going to follow along with them. And sure enough, we get to a Foot Locker. Not the number one choice that I wanted. I wanted to go to like Foot Action or Champs because I thought that most people wouldn't go to those stores, but it ended up being Foot Locker was a store that was not attacked the most. The people wouldn't even open the gate at the Foot Locker. They would not open the gate because there was a mob outside of the store. So the gate is still down. And the manager is saying, all right, guys, look, we don't even open for another 3 hours, but this is what we're going to do. We're treating it like a raffle. We are going to hand out tickets, and those people that get a ticket can come back when we open the store and you can get the shoes. We are going to call out sizes. With everybody, please get in line. Nobody is getting in line, okay? We are standing in a semicircle in front of this gated Foot Locker and pushing and shoving and elbowing and spitting and kicking to try and get close enough to grab a ticket when they hand out a ticket for your size. Once again, size 13. So I got to wait a while. So they're going through all the sizes and they get to 12. They had two 12s. I cannot fit a 12. It's going to hurt my big toe, right? Can't fit a 12. They jump, not doing half sizes. So they go from 12 to 13. And he says, I've got one pair of 13s. I'm tall. I'm 6'4". I'm reaching over top of kids, reaching through their bodies, put my hand through the fence, barely can fit through my hand, barely can fit my fist through this little gate, okay, to get my two fingers, my finger and my thumb, so I can snatch this ticket to get these size pair of 13s. And there's another arm that comes over my shoulder that's reaching for the same ticket. And I'm not paying attention to it, but I just had to take a glance because the man is about to hand me the ticket to the size 13 Sports Sixes blue, varsity blue Air Jordans. And as I look over my shoulder, who do I see? That young man that was standing in front of me in that line with his girl trying to get the size pair 13. I did not notice that he was almost as tall as I was. Did not notice it when it was in the line. Why? Because I was just focused on the J's. I was focused on the J's. So as my hand is on the ticket and I look at him and I realize in this moment, I am fighting this young man that I am 20 years older than, probably 20 years older than, for a pair of shoes. I look at the manager and I say, go ahead and give him the ticket. And the manager looks at me dumbfounded. Are you sure? And the kid says, are you sure? And I say, yeah, man, go ahead and get those shoes, man. And the manager gives him the ticket, and I turn around and I walk out and I go on home. And I feel sick. I physically feel sick, like I'm going to throw up. Because why the hell did I give up those pair of shoes? Because in that moment, I realized I'm fighting a kid for a pair of shoes. That was ridiculous. That was my lowest moment buying shoes, ladies and gentlemen. I swore never again would I wait in line, run and charge, knocking over women and children, pushing them out the way like I'm a running back. Big running back, by the way. Pushing them out the way, trying to get a pair of shoes. Yeah, I decided on that day I was never going to do it again. I wait online. I did get the shoes. I had to pay a premium for them because I had to get them in a reseller's market. The premium was only, I think, I don't know, maybe $30, $40 more. So I still had the shoes. I wore them on New Year's at my sister's house. Still got them, almost 8 years later, 9 years later, still got them. But on that day, I realized that I may never get those shoes. But in that moment, that young man and his girlfriend had those plans and they deserved the shoes. And me and my big grown ass didn't need to be pushing over people fighting a kid for a pair of shoes. And that was the day that Michael Jordan shoes completely humbled me. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for watching. And until next time, as always, I'll holler. Whew, that was a hell of a show. Thank you for rocking with us here on Unsolicited Perspectives with Bruce Anthony. Now, before you go, don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share our podcast wherever you're listening or watching it to it. Pass it along to your friends. If you enjoy it, that means the people that you rock with will enjoy it also. So share the wealth, share the knowledge, share the noise. And for all those people that say, well, I don't have a YouTube. If you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can actually watch our video podcast and YouTube exclusive content. But the real party is on our Patreon page, After Hours Uncensored and Talking Straight-ish. After Hours Uncensored is another show with my sister. And once again, the key word there is uncensored. Those are exclusively on our Patreon page. Jump onto our website at unsolicitedperspective.com for all things us. That's where you can get all of our audio, video, our blogs, and even buy our merch. And if you're really feeling generous and want to help us out, you can donate on our donations page. Donations go strictly to improving our software and hardware so we can keep giving you guys good content that you can clearly listen to and that you can clearly see. So any donation would be appreciative. Most importantly, I want to say thank you for listening and watching and supporting us. And I'll catch you next time. Audi 5000. Peace.